Hello and welcome to the RotoWire Esports Show. My name is Ethan Sexton, and he's back. We had a quick glitch there where Chan went away, but Chan's back. Chan, for the people who maybe didn't see the first live iteration of this, or are watching this on the recording, how are you doing today, man?
Good again. How are you, Ethan?
I'm good. All right, I think Chan, we had just started talking about today's slate, the 5-gamer. We were starting the LCK, and I think you were about to say similarly to what I thought about Fred and Breon with their 2-0 week. We're not thinking too much into it for DFS purposes, I don't think.
Right. I think the only nugget that we take away from it is that DRX matchups have been more bloody after they swapped their bottom lane and the mid laner out. Now with those new players, it definitely has been more bloody in DRX matchups. And obviously Breon and DRX are the two of the slowest teams in all 4 major regions, in my opinion. But obviously, you guys could see the kill total today in that matchup that, DRX's new bottom lane and the mid laner have definitely changed that kill upside for that matchup.
Yeah, for sure. So it's like we talked about a couple times now. I think their new lineup isn't really necessarily good for their odds of winning games, but it makes them better to stack against potentially in certain matchups.
Exactly.
The second series of the day, Chan, was a pretty good one for DFS. I wasn't on Red Force at all, but Red Force sweeping aside KT with ease. The first game, they only got 14 kills, so you're thinking, nah, man, this isn't really going to be it. But in the second game, they pushed and got 26 kills, so 40 kills in 2 games is pretty good, and then you factor in the games not played bonus. So Red Force continuing to be this is a matchup they should have won, obviously, but they continue to be a very good team and maybe looking a bit more promising for DFS. But, overall, I think we still, depending on who else is on the slates with them, probably not a team we're going to be too crazy about using.
If Peanut or Gory does not win the player of the split, I'd be very upset because Nongshim just looks like one of the best teams, elite teams in the LCK right now. I mean, I just feel like at this moment, I feel like they're the best team, even over Gen G and Damo and Kia, in my opinion. So, they're playing lights out. Peanut and Gory, that jungle mid synergy have been the best, in my opinion, best duo in the LCK the last couple of weeks. I mean, they've been on fire. So, and I feel like they could potentially finish first in the LCK at the split, and they could win the playoffs, in my opinion. So they're definitely on a roll. But yeah, like you said, against KT, they should have won this game. And they just haven't had any letdown game either in the last 3 weeks or so. So yeah, they've been consistent and they're good for DFS purposes. They've been good for DFS purposes lately. So yeah, Nongshim is good. I feel like Nongshim has kind of replaced Hanwha, in my opinion, in terms of like DFS players, how they look at LCK teams. Yep. I feel like Nongshim has been scoring well, so they've been kind of like carrying that Hanwha status the last couple of weeks, and a lot of people have been playing them as the second stack. So I think I like Nongshim's chances this split in the LCK.
Yeah, they look like the best team right now. I agree. They're very consistent. If they can finish out the season strong, in the same way that they're playing right now, they've got a great chance at taking over that number 1 seed for the playoffs, and we may end up seeing this team at Worlds, which could be pretty cool. It'd be the first time the organization will make Worlds. I don't want to jump too far ahead. There's just a little bit under a month left in the LCK split before the playoffs start. So, but they look great right now, like you said, and kudos to you, man. You were on this team from the beginning. We both kind of liked them. You brought them up. It was your idea. You said you thought they'd be much improved here in the summer, and it's really worked out that way. I don't know if either one of us thought that they'd be top 1 or 2 teams in the league, but it's kudos to you. You like the lineup. I've liked some of these players. Rich, I think I've liked a lot, and Peanut, we know, has that pop-off potential. He also has the potential to feed sometimes, but he's been great this split, and Gory's really made the difference for this team in the mid lane.
Exactly.
So they've been a lot of fun, a nice surprise shaking up the LCK so far this year. Over in China, Chan, on paper, this was, we didn't get to talk yesterday, but this 3 pretty good series. The China kicked off with 2 teams that started off the year red hot and have cooled back to the pack a bit. with LNG taking on OMG, but it's LNG that ends up pulling out the 2-1 win. And I think that's fair. I think LNG overall are the better team. OMG really crashing back down to earth now. They're down to 6-5. They're down in 10th place now. OMG, I think, could still make a push to be one of the last playoff teams. It's going to be difficult. Some of the teams behind them are going to make it tough, with especially LGD and RNG, I think, are going to make it tough on OMG to get a playoff spot. But LNG with a big win, back up to 8-3, third place. They look like almost certainly a lock to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think LNG looked pretty solid, even with that new bottom lane from the LDL affiliate. LP and Kadaya started today in the bottom lane, and I thought, initially when I saw it, I thought it was a huge downgrade because Light and Nawandi were starting to gain form and playing well for that team. But yeah, it didn't really matter. They played pretty well in game one, especially. I think there were times, I think he played the AD carry. LP played Draven, and I think he got a couple kills at the beginning on a tower dive. And I like LNG's form right now. I think they took care of business against OMG. Like you said, I think LNG is slightly better than OMG, and just with that new bottom lane, there were some questions there. So we'll see what happens in the next game, whether they're gonna keep starting LP and Kadaya or Light and Awandi. But I just feel like, obviously, as evidenced by this matchup against OMG, it didn't really matter because Ale was on fire in game one. I think he had like 5 kills to begin the game with. And then Tarzan and Icon have been solid too. So, but like you said, OMG on the other side of the matchup, I think they had a pretty good series, even in this series. In game 3, they had Gwen, Viego, and Silas. I feel like those are all strong champions, but they still lost. So I don't know what to tell you there. So because Ale had played Jax and he was dominant against Gwen. So yeah, I like this LNG roster here, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to compete against other elite teams that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. I am in the same boat. I think they're good and solid, but I think they lack the upside of some of the truly top teams, even if they're ahead of a couple of them in the standings. I think if they have to match up against the top esports or a JDG that we're about to talk about, or even a Suning. Right. Those are all teams that they're ahead of, but I think I'd favor all 3 of those teams in a playoff series against them. But We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I guess. So yeah, JDG and Suning, 2 of the teams there that I said I would like to beat LNG. This one came out of nowhere, Chan. I'm sort of glad that we didn't talk yesterday because I'm pretty sure I would have been all over JDG. Suning lost to Rogue Warriors earlier in the week, and JDG swept IG, which isn't as impressive as it used to be. But, with Suning losing to Rogue Warriors, no way would I have predicted that they would have come into this series, smash JDG, and not only, sweep them, but sweep them with 49 kills in 2 games.
I think Suning and Invictus Gaming probably are the 2 most unpredictable teams in the LPL. Yeah. They showed up. They obviously didn't show up at all against Rogue Warriors the other day. So obviously they had really bad losses and then they had really good wins. So the spectrum of their variability is just enormous. But yeah, against JDG, I think in game 1, I think it was a decently closer game. Where it was a low kill game. I think JDG was trying very hard to make a play here and there throughout the early game and mid game, but Suning really defended well. I think they played more of a defensive comp, in my opinion. I think they played Ziggs on Juan Fang a lot. Yep. So I think they were scaling quite a bit. But in terms of game 2 after game 1, like you said, it was more of a kind of like a clown fiesta because, like you said, 52 kills total in that game and within less than 30 minutes. Yeah. So anyways, I think somebody said 29 minutes or something like that. So, so that's just crazy combined kills per minute rate that we always talk about. But yep. I just feel like JDG kind of just let one loose and I just feel like they just not entered, but they kind of tilted, in game 2. And I just feel like they just gave up in the mid game, late game and just giving up that throwing bodies. But yeah, Suning, like you said, I feel like it would have been a good game to target. I know we didn't talk about it on the video because I had some family emergency, but I just felt like this was the matchup to target in terms of like DFS. I think obviously I would have been on JDG as well, But Suning would have been a good GPP just from the kill upside standpoint because they're both bloody. JDG is more bloody, and Suning's kind of slow, but JDG is bloody. So anyway, I think I like Suning's form when they win. They look obviously really good when they win. It's just they're so unpredictable.
Yeah, for sure. I think JDG are kind of like Suning and OMG as well, where they're very frustrating at times. But the difference is that when JDG lose, like today we would have thought they would have beat Suning, but at least Suning are a team that are capable of beating a team like JDG, whereas JDG aren't going to lose to like Rogue Warriors or Thunder Talk or Victory 5, you know what I mean? Where IG or Suning could potentially do those things. Yeah. So in the final series of the day, I think this was the most frustrating series from a DFS perspective, Chan, because if you played the favorite in EDG, you were mad because they got swept. But if you played RNG as an underdog, you're mad because they didn't score for crap and you couldn't win with them anyway. I know I've got one buddy who played RNG and he was pretty frustrated with their, they were one of the biggest biggest underdogs on the slate, but they only come out with 26 kills. They really dominated this series, though. Well, game one, they got off to a pretty rough start and then came back and closed it out well. Game two, they just dominated 13 kills to 1. Wasn't even close. So EDG remained in first place, but RNG 5-5 now, back to 500. They're down in 12th, but, this is a team that's going to be pretty dangerous here to close out the split, I think. Yeah,
RNG's they're climbing back to the form that they were at in the spring split in the MSI. RNG is a great team. It was just a matter of time that they were going to gain this, form back. I was more impressed than this series against EDG because, like you said, it produced low in kills, 13-1, and then 13-7 low in kills, which tells me that, I didn't really watch any of these two games because I had some other stuff going on, but it tells me that RNG really beat EDG with their own game. So, because EDG tends to play slow. EDG, probably dictated some game, the game early in the game and stuff. But I'm just impressed that RNG has been beating all these teams lately. They've been in great form. I know Crying was kind of, the liability for RNG though the last couple of weeks or so, and there were some rumors that he was going to get benched and all, but they just came back and came through. I'm just impressed that RNG just beat EDG. EDG, in my opinion, is still the best team in the LPL. And they were due for a letdown game like this, but I didn't expect them to lose against RNG, but RNG pulled it off, and they're gonna be a scary team when it comes to playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. Crying actually did get benched earlier in the week. I'm glad you brought that up. They beat V5. They swept them. Crying played game one, and even though they won, and he wasn't bad or anything like that, they brought in Yukai to play game two. So potentially down the line, we may see less of Crying. Although today, I think helped his case to continue to play. So, Chan, let's go ahead. We'll jump over to tomorrow's 2-gamer. This is a crappy slate, man. This is a brutal. 2-gamers in general are not that fun usually, but this is just brutal, man. We kick things off 5 a.m. East Coast time. Rogue Warriors up against Thunder Talk. Thunder Talk are 1-10, 16th in the league, and Rogue Warriors are 4-7, 13th in the league. Rogue Warriors have actually been playing better of late, so I think I side with Rogue Warriors here. But you could go either side here, I think, in what could potentially be quite a clown fiesta.
Yeah, this 2-game slate might be probably, I think, the worst slate that I've ever.
It's 4 of the worst 5 teams in the league. The only team that's worse than Rogue Warriors. Rogue Warriors are 13th, Ultra Primer and 15th. So if we swapped those two, we'd have the 4 worst teams. But this is 4 of the 5 worst teams in the league right now. Yeah,
Ultra Prime. Actually, in my opinion, Ultra Prime might be better than all these 4 teams. And I can make an argument there. So anyway, first, Rogue Warriors against Thunder Talk. Yeah, like you said, I like Rogue Warriors' chances here. But I just feel like, Xiao Pang against Thunder Talk. He's. I feel like he is the best jungler on the slate, other than June for IG. So I like. I like Thunder Talk's chances to upset Rogue Warriors here, but I just feel like at the end of the day, Rogue Warriors has been more consistent. Albeit, these are both really bad teams. I feel like they're just, less bad compared to the Thunder Talk. So I don't really know. I mean, I guess we can break down just individually because both of them, I feel like at the macro level, struggle a lot against good teams. Around objectives and team fights and all that. But I mean, I know Thunder Talk likes to skirmish a lot, and same for Rogue Warriors. But in terms of like the individual matchups, yeah, I favor Rogue Warriors. Other than the jungling spot. I mean, top lane ZDZ has been playing much better lately. I know Lang Shi has been playing decent for Thunder Talk, and then in the mid lane, Forge has been really playing well. I mean, he's been in their wins. He actually had the highest kill percentage the other day in that series. So I like Forge, and then Betty and Chocha is definitely in better form than Samdi and Pudding. I know Samdi had a pretty decent last split, and then pretty decent season last season for. Is it Victory 5? I think it was when he used to play for Victory 5. But I mean, I just feel like without PP God on his side, Pudding, and Sam D, I just feel like they're worse than Betty and Chocho. So I like you said, I like Rogue Warriors' chances here, but it wouldn't be, like I feel like it's a good GPP slate. I don't know if I'll play any cash because I can't really trust any of these teams, including Invictus Gaming in the other matchup. So I think it makes it for a good GPP slate, but in this matchup particularly, I like Rogue Warriors' chances.
Yeah, I agree with you. We did get a comment though, Chan, from a YouTube user named Nin. He said he's risking Thunder Talk today. He believes in the Zhao Peng supremacy, which we both agree with too. We definitely like Zhao Peng as a jungler, and on this slate, take a shot with Thunder Talk. I'm fine with it, even though we both think Rogue Warriors are going to win. Who the hell knows, man? This is such a crapshoot of a slate. So the second game, Chan, Victory 5, looking for their first win of the year. They still only have won one game the entire season. Their games record is 1-20 to go along with their 0-10 record on the year. But Chan, this is an Invictus Gaming team who are 3-7. They look awful, man. They look horrendous, and they're priced as the biggest favorites on DraftKings. This is the spot where I would usually love to fade Invictus Gaming and take the other team. But, man, I don't know if I can take Victory 5, man. They're just so bad. I think I got to lean IG, but I hate IG in this spot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I might just have to close my eyes and pick Invictus Gaming because, like you said, and Victory 5, I think, is the worst team, worst roster. Just worse all around in the LPL, in my opinion. So, I mean, I'll have one or two. I think probably one Victory 5 lineup, but I just feel like most of my lineups will have Invictus Gaming. It's just the talent gap in every single matchup is just enormous. I feel like this is the type of match where the Shy gains back his form and then just shits on this allies probably if he is starting. So in the top lane, he might play Quinn, he might play Kalista, we'll see. But I just feel like this is one of those matches where he's gonna play with his food, and frankly, I mean the whole team Invictus Gaming might play against Victory 5 and gain a lot of kills here. So yeah, I mean definitely on the paper, Invictus Gaming has the edge in every single imaginable way. But I just feel like Invictus Gaming, like we said, like Suning, I mean, they've been so unpredictable, and especially as a favorite, big favorite, like minus 800. I don't know if I can fully trust them, so I might have one Victory 5 lineup.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the Shy has been so bad since he came back. But if he ints against Victory 5, I think they need to bench him and bring back Nenny, man. That's going to be like if you int against this team, I think you're done, man. You're done. You might as well retire or come to North America. It's over for you, man. So I gotta agree. I think IG, they have to win this series, man. They if they lose this series, they're just done. Like, yeah, I mean they're already pretty much done, right? They're not competing with much of anything right now. But if they lose to Victory 5, that's a whole nother level of done, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens, Chan. One thing I was going to ask you, with the way that Rogue Warriors and Thunder Talk like to scrap, do you think a game stack could be viable tomorrow? We don't talk game stacks a lot because I personally don't ever really game stack, and I think you're in the same line of thinking there, where we don't really love the game stack. But on a 2-game slate like this, I'm wondering if you think it's a little more viable, or if not, that's all right too.
Well, I think it's definitely a viable strategy on a 2-game slate, especially when you have these two bad teams who are probably going to engage in a lot of team fights. And frankly, that's been their win condition for both teams, Rogue Warriors and Thunder Talk. So, yeah, and then Victory 5, just based on the combined kills per minute metric, Victory 5 is the slowest team on the slate. And that, coupled with Invictus Gaming is the biggest favorite. I mean, maybe Invictus Gaming, will focus on their winning strategies and macro game and play slow, and they don't have to do as much against a really bad team, Victory 5. So maybe that game will end 10-5, 11-5, and then the Rogue Warriors Thunder Talk might end at 20-19 or something like that. So that's definitely a viable strategy, I think, on the 2-game slate. I mean, personally, I don't really like game stacks, but I can definitely see an argument here on this slate because Victory 5 carries the slowest combined kills per minute, and then Invictus Gaming being the biggest favorite here. So,
yeah, I think that's the only reason I brought it up is because if I could see, usually I can't really see the path to a game stack working, but I can definitely see it on this slate. So, just wanted to get your thoughts, Chan. It's a crappy 2-gamer, man. It's worse than ever. We don't love 2-gamers to begin with, and then we get these teams, and it makes it even worse. But anything else you wanted to bring up before we go tomorrow for today?
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, Invictus Gaming needs a win, and I think they tend to play much better when they kind of skirmish and engage in team fights. That's how they like to win. So I think GameStack might not be as viable as they originally thought. So, but yeah, I think Invictus Gaming is safe just looking at the numbers and everything. But who knows? Don't mark my words on that. IG
calling Invictus Gaming safe is not a safe thing to say, Chan. But I gotta agree with you. They gotta win tomorrow. So I think we both fully expect them to make it happen. But we'll see, man. Chan, thank you as always, my friend. Good talking to you and breaking down the slates. It's always fun. So we'll be back tomorrow, hopefully. Unfortunately, we've got another 2-gamer we'll be talking about Tuesday, but there's some better teams on it, so it should be a little more interesting than today.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, take care, man.
All right, have a good one.